worthy, you're worthy. Yes, you are. Oh, God, oh, God. Everybody say, God, I look to you, say, I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision. To see things like you do. Say, God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Say, give me wisdom.
Hey everyone, this is Reverend Tashi Campbell. Thank you for downloading this episode of Rev TC Views. Your support of this podcast is highly appreciated. On Friday, November 16, the youth of Praise Deliverance Ministry hosted the first of their Just Be Real series. It was a panel discussion of which yours truly was a part. Some interesting questions were raised. The panel consisted of 3 ordained ministers, 1 youth director, and a youth minister. The panel discussion was hosted by the senior pastor of that house, Pastor Fitzroy Carr. In this episode and the others to come, you will hear responses to the questions raised by our youth. Listen now to the responses to the first question for the evening. What does the Bible say about masturbation?
Good night, everybody. I would like to know, what does the Bible say about masturbation? And how does a single person deal with urges? Being a Christian, how do we maintain ourselves?
All right, so we will have any member of the panel taking that one on. I see Venetia looking at Pastor. They're saying, well, he's a male here. You know what? Let me invite another youth. Come, sir. Come and sit with us so Andrew, come and take this chair until Pastor Paul comes. We add another one for him. Andrew is a youth director, and that's his field. You don't work in the field, young people, and help them?
Yes.
You teach. All right. So let's get Andrew. Maybe Andrew will be the guy to take this kind of thing on. So we're going to be told again what is masturbation in our everyday simple language, and how do we handle that? And is it for Christians? Let's go. Mics are on the table in front of you. So.
All right, good. Good night, everyone. I want to just declare first that I am no expert on masturbation. But when I think about that topic, there is no specific passage in Scripture that speaks directly to masturbation, but there are passages that guides us as it relates to how we operate sexually. Sex is not just physical, it is also mental and emotional, and it is spiritual as well, but it's emotional and it's mental. And so, though it is not an intercourse with an individual, it's basically an intercourse with yourself. 1. 2, one of the things I use as a guiding principle as it relates to this issue of masturbation, Jesus said something very interesting. He sought to move things from the Old Testament, which just dealt with physical action, to internal, to the heart. And so he says, if a man look at a woman to lust, he has already committed adultery, because he has defiled his heart. And so my position is masturbation would be a defiling of the heart, because most of the time there is an image that is related to the act of masturbation. All right?
All right, good evening, everyone.
No, tell her bright good evening, no, man. You young people, man, say good evening.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. On the whole matter of masturbation and sexual purity, I would hope that persons know what masturbation is, but I'm going to attempt to describe it, and like Pastor James here, I am not an expert on masturbation at all. However, my understanding of masturbation is the use of the hands or any other instrument or toy on the genitalia, the private parts being penis or vagina, with the intention of releasing some bottled up stress, maybe. Well, persons would know what their intentions are. However, when I think about, I do not know that there is any scripture that speaks explicitly to masturbation, but when I think about the act of masturbation, the scripture that comes to my mind is the one that speaks about the fruit of the Spirit. And my question would be to anyone who is considering masturbation as a regular practice, as a single Christian, maybe even married Christians too, what is the intention? And am I, in engaging in the act, still within the framework of the expectations of Jesus Christ, when he says, if you even look upon another person and desire them sexually in your heart, you would have already lusted. But then I question as well, what about self-control? If God says, as a single woman, I should not have sex before I get married, then it means that there are alternate ways for me to maintain my sexual purity. And that will include watching or giving attention to the things that I invite in my mind, in my space. I find that a lot of Christians struggle sexually because you're watching things that you're not supposed to watch. You're reading things that you're not supposed to read. You're entertaining thoughts that are not going to help you to maintain your sexual purity. And so for me, in maintaining sexual purity, it's a whole picture, a one big picture, that I have to guard my heart, guard my mind, and be very deliberate about keeping that purity. Now, this is what I usually tell young people. Sexual urges are natural. God made us with them. So you have when it just naturally come on. I can speak for a woman, I can't speak for a man. But there are certain times in a woman's cycle when that just natural. You just have a desire to merge. If you understand what I'm saying. But there are other times when it can be provoked. And those are the things that I want to keep out of my space. So I will not watch certain movies. I will not entertain certain conversations. And young people have gotten very creative because we have things like sexting and all kinds of things now. And those things saturate us. Just driving on the road, being in a bus and looking out, we look in the media, we are saturated with images that are intended to cause us to want to be sensual. It's an appeal to that. Yes. So I say guard the heart, guard the eyes, guard the mind, read the word, and be active in ministry as you pursue that. And I would conclude that masturbation is not something that will add to your sexual purity, and I believe that the single Christian should not indulge in that.
Let's take Andrew. See, Andrew, as our sister was talking, and to see you nodding to say, I agree with that.
Very good night, everyone. The main point that comes out is that it's a state of mental purity. And if we challenge and do a lot of research, we'll also discover that the act itself, that an indulgence in it can affect you when you do get married.
Yes.
And so if you want to look at it just naturally as human beings, we could be setting ourselves up to it. And then the things that we consistently feed our minds on is what sometimes prompts us to do it. I also agree with Reverend that if you keep yourself very active in church, it's one of the best ways, whether it is masturbation or whatever it is, keeping yourself actively involved in church is one of the best ways to remain focused on the Lord. So I agree with you 100% that keeping that mind of Christ, it's because sometimes it's the imagery that we have been viewing and focus on and consuming. You know, like when you eat a lot of grease, you sometimes clog your arteries, if that is correct. And when you're a teenager and you feed yourself with a lot of greasy food, then you get a lot of bumps and those things. So when you feed yourself with a lot of images, then you become overly active, and then one thing leads to another, and then you start helping yourself, and then you don't know how you reach to a stage where you're not getting hit. Right?
Okay, I know that's although young people are sitting down as though they don't understand anything that you all have said a while ago, like they're foreign to it. We know that that's not true. And I want for Pastor Oscar James to just take a minute so that we don't stay on this one subject matter forever, but take a minute and give us a little insight into how this act can become an open door for demonic activity in one's life.
All right, because masturbation, and I heard my sister's definition of it, but it is really getting sexual gratification by yourself, using whether your own physical body or implements. And a lot of times, many times, most times, it involves some amount of image, whether it's a physical image you're looking on or it's an imaginary image, right? That helps to provide that stimulation, that focus. What happened is that because it is sin, what it does many times, what influences you is a spirit is involved in the process. And I want to take it to this position and share with you. Many of you might not respond, but from time to time, as individuals, there are certain spirits that are referred to as incubus and succubus spirits. There are spirits that is lascivious spirits, and what they will do from time to time, they will try to infiltrate you first in your dreams, okay? And so they will come in your dreams and try to get you to fall in your dream or have some kind of sexual experience in your dream, and they will seek to sow a seed from that. And then all of a sudden you find that over a short period you have this rapid desire for sex, you start to lust, you start to be led into other things, because it's a spirit now that is seeking to open this door, meaning getting a legal right to access your life. And so they will seek to oppress you and to demonize you eventually once you begin to indulge in it. And how it starts, as I said, it starts first. It can come through your dream, it can come through a thought. And if you begin to ponder on those thoughts, it moves from thought to imagination, right? You begin to visually think about some of these things, and then it moves into action. And at that time, they will come and then they will begin to influence you, and you find that after a while you become addicted to whatever you're doing that is satisfying yourself. Many psychologists and family counselors will tell you, as Andrew mentioned, that it causes many persons to become dysfunctional when they really come into an intimate relationship with someone else. Because the process of sex in an intimate relationship is different from when you are directly satisfying yourself. And so it impacts that relationship and the individual's ability to be satisfied within the relationship. And you will find that there are many persons who get married and are unfulfilled in their marriage, and they are basically committing adultery by having a secret masturbation life, though they are married as well.
Great.